911 emergency, what are you reporting?
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of We Speak Dispatch. We are super excited today because we're going international.
Yeah.
We'll have our special guest introduce himself here in just a little bit. But first, Glenna, how you doing?
I'm doing great here in Central California. I always have to think about where I am. Central California, 80 degrees today. It's hot. It's fall. Nobody remembers.
Doug, how you doing?
Great. Tennessee is we're moving into fall right now. It's in the low 70s outside. It's getting to be really fall-like out there. Yes, Halloween time, it makes it even better. So yay.
And weather-wise in Iowa, Doug, we're similar to you, and I am done giving sports updates because every time I do, these don't air for a few weeks and things change and the Hawkeyes lost. So I'm going to stick to the weather. It's 70 degrees, but we're joined by a special guest, somebody that I met not too long ago from Ireland. Will, how you doing? Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Hi, Joe. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on tonight. It's a great pleasure to be here and to share my bits and pieces with yourselves. Met Joe about, as I said, 2019 when Navigator was in Ireland, and he came over for a couple of days. Was putting up a talk. We met. We had corresponded beforehand. We met each other and had a great couple of days. Company. What can I say about myself? Wow, I'm a 53-year-old gentleman who got bitten by the bug for EMS. Dare I say, going back to the late 70s for an emergency, when emergency was on TV.
Emergency, yes.
All right. And that's what got me really interested in it, and watching that every week. Then when I left school, third level college wasn't an option for me, so I got involved. I had thoughts about going for nursing. At that time here in Ireland, it wasn't great for a man to get into nursing without going through psychiatry first. So I went to work in my local hospital after a couple of years after leaving school, and started as a ward orderly on the wards, helping out with nursing staff. Ended up working in the emergency department and got to see the guys coming in, bringing in patients. And I thought, this looks interesting. This could be something I could do. I was involved with a volunteer organisation doing first aid at events and things like that, and took it from there.
Wow,
nice.
Haven't looked back since. So
I can't believe they show Emergency over there. That's so funny. Wow.
Yeah, and I tried my best, my damnedest to try and get back copies and the whole lot, and I can't get anything else. I would love to watch it again. From scratch, Wow.
Well, maybe if we make a trip over there, we'll find it on DVD or something and bring it with us. So we asked Will to come on because we wanted to talk about some of the differences maybe in an international. And as he said, I had the opportunity to be picked up by him in 2019 when I went over there to speak in Ireland. I could not be more appreciative of how everybody treated me. And for some terms, I'm just going to throw a few out there for our listeners that EMS is the same, but they also have the fire brigade, if I remember correctly. So we have firefighters here. They have the fire brigade. And then they also have the Garda, Garda, I think is how you spell it. Yeah. And that would be their law enforcement. So if we use Garda or brigade, I wanted our listeners to know what we were talking about. But our first question, Will, is pretty easy. Here in the United States, we call 911. If we come to Ireland, what number do we call if we have an emergency?
Well, probably the best way and the easiest way is that since about 2015, there's been one standardized number right throughout Europe, and that is 112.
112.
Oh, 112.
Wow.
Okay, so no matter what European country you're in, if you dial 112, be it in Greece, be it in Italy, be it in France, Germany, Ireland, the UK, anywhere, it will get you through to the emergency services in that country.
Wow, I like that.
And in Ireland and in the UK, we have 999 as well, which is the one everybody is on. That's around since the 50s, right? But as I say, to put everything on the European footing, Even though, dare I say, with Brexit last year and the UK having left Europe, the EU, they're still going to use 112 as being a European-wide emergency services contact number.
Nice.
112, never heard of that one. Wow.
So when you have 911, we got 112, and that's again the different setups in different countries depending on what level, what they call PSAPs of their exchange are. So in some countries, mainly in mainland Europe, you get through to the emergency service operators, and they triage your call, and then put the call through to the relevant emergency service, be it the fire service or the EMS or the police. In Ireland, it's slightly different. In Ireland, when you dial 112, you get through to the emergency call answering service, and they ask you which service you require. And then depending on who you request, the call goes through to them, and then they start triaging your call then. So it's
nice.
Wow.
Okay. We don't have the centres which will cater for all three services, if you know what I mean. So it wouldn't be that call handlers in my service will be taking police calls or fire calls. They'd only be taking EMS calls.
Yeah.
Oh,
and one of the things I noticed also, Doug and Glenna, and I'll let you guys ask some follow-up questions to Will on this one. I'll let Will explain it. That really kind of caught me off guard when I came over there is Ireland is a ACE accredited, listen to this, country, and they dispatch EMS country-wide, not like jurisdiction-wide or whatever you want to call it, country-wide. So we'll go ahead and explain how the dispatch center that I've seen dispatches country-wide, and that you guys are all ACE accredited through the International Academy of Emergency Dispatch.
Wow.
That's correct, Joe. We've been ACE accredited since about 2012. So we've been lucky in that respect for years, and a lot of work happened. Bit of background to how it happened was prior to 2010, each of the regional health authorities more or less had their own control. So you had 11 different control centres within Ireland, within the actual state, or that actual country, we call the state, within the actual country. So again, financially, the whole lot, you had duplication of services, duplication of systems, not everybody using the one system, and you could have had vehicles that were crossing county borders that could be driving right by an incident and not know anything about it. And likewise, local control wouldn't know that those vehicles were there. So around 2010, there was a whole project started, a whole reconfiguration of EMS in Ireland. Around the provision and the whole control aspect, and that was to do away with the 11 different control centres and bring it down to one control centre nationally over 2 sites. So what that means is we have a main control centre which is in a suburb of Dublin, which is the capital, and we have a backup centre, a resilience site in Ballyshannon in County Donegal, which is up in the northwest of the country. Basically, we're all on the one platform, both for communication software and for CAD software, all right, and employing IAED, periodic dispatch for our call taking. So that allows the call handlers in both sites to take calls for the whole country, all right. Wow. And then depending on where the call is for, what region of the country the call is for, will determine what centre the resource is being dispatched by.
But so does that mean that all of you all work for the same agency?
Yeah, it's a state. We're all public servants. It's a state agency.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. So there's no local. Wow, that's something.
We work for the state health authority. Okay, the health service executive. Which is national,
yeah,
and then the National Ambulance Service is a branch of the Health Service Executive, all right. And from that, you're talking about 90 odd stations, roughly about 150 to 200 resources on a day shift, all right. Working out of 8 weeks, and the whole country broke up into 8 different areas.
Can you, as a dispatcher, can you say, I want to work in a different part of the country at this point and just go work over there? Or do you have to?
No. You stay in your own center.
Yeah, but you can't ever leave there. I mean, it's like if you want to go work somewhere else.
Well, there's only two. You can go and work in Ballyshannon.
One of the two, Doug.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like if you get tired in one, it's like, can you go to the other one? Hang out. So.
But again, the way the rosters are designed, you work on a different desk every 4 weeks.
Oh, I see.
That's all about building the resilience within the centers.
Yeah. Okay. How long does it take to drive? I'm going to use drive. How long does it take to drive from the one center to the Northwest Center?
About 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours.
Oh my God.
That is so awesome.
You can't even get out of California in 3.5 hours.
That's why if anything has happened in 2019 when we had 2020 when we had a fire in Tala, in the main centre in Dublin, we have a memorandum of understanding with the Irish Air Corps, with the Air Force in Ireland, and they flew us up inside the hour. Up to
how cool!
Because the other centre in Ballyshannon is a much smaller centre and wouldn't be staffed with the same number of staff on a daily basis as the main centre would be in Dublin. So we have an MOU with the Air Corps that they would fly us up.
Oh my! Wow!
Yeah, I'm gonna go to work now. I'm gonna get a ride.
Yeah, it's such a different thing, man. Holy cow!
It is.
Yeah. So when you guys do training, Will, how often do you train with the Garda or the fire brigade on a multi-agency response? So we will say it's something where somebody's being rescued out of the ocean. And how often do you guys train together with the brigade or the Garda?
Probably 3 or 4 times a year, depending on what's going on, because we're in daily contact with them, so they know us, we know them, particularly in Dublin, which is where the fire service provide an ambulance service for us as well. They provide 13 vehicles within Dublin because the capital is so big, and that's a long-standing agreement that goes back to the 1970s. That's done there. But as regards multi-agency training and exercises, there's probably at least 3 to 4 a year, maybe a few more. That's not withholding the various interagency exercises that happen that are mandated to happen because of CIVISO sites or installations that are high risk. There may be chemical plants or other such installations, fuel depots, places like that, where may be a potential for a big incident. So they will have a mandated exercise to have every year.
Nice.
Nice, yeah.
Part of as well,
Yeah.
It's such a difference, man. It's like, whoa. It's like a whole different country. Oh wait, it is.
It is. Like you're talking about, like, Ireland is a population of just under 5 million. Right? That's
the whole country?
The whole country. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and that's the last census, which was in 2016. It was 4.8 million. I reckon it's probably just gone over the 5 million by now. The next census is due next year, so we can update the figures.
Oh my goodness.
The actual area of the country, the coastline. So if you go down the coastline of Ireland, it's just over 3,170 kilometres, which is about 1,900 miles around the coastline.
Okay.
Wow.
And that's, we have every kind of mix that you have. We have forest, we have plains, we have lowlands, we've grasslands, we've got rivers, we've got lakes, we've got offshore islands that are inhabited as well, which pose their own difficulty for EMS as well.
Do you guys take calls from the offshore oil drills? Would you get a 901 call or a 112 call from them?
Not from the oil. We don't have oil platforms, but from the islands.
Oh, the islands. Okay.
The islands. Okay.
Yeah. We have inhabited islands off the coast, mainly on the west coast.
Wow.
So it's like next stop America, after that. And that involves being involved with the Coast Guard, because it may mean involving a Coast Guard heli has to be deployed to transport
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I follow a lot of the Instagram accounts from Ireland since I went over there. That was going to be my follow-up question is, who dispatches the Irish Coast Guard? I see a lot of pictures of the helicopters once in a while and rescuing people out of the ocean. Who technically dispatches the Irish Coast Guard?
If it's an EMS problem, if it's an EMS problem, it's done by us. Within our control center, we have a dedicated air medical desk, and they look after the coordination of any asset that might be involved, be it the RNLI, which is the Lifeboat Institute, the Irish Coast Guard, okay, for the helis, be it for offshore or for mountain rescue, okay. We have two other dedicated EMS helicopters as well. One which is a collaboration with the Irish Air Corps, with the Irish Air Force, which is they supply the air crew and the heli, and we supply the medic that goes on board. And we have a charity helicopter service as well. That's purely funded by charities in Ireland, okay, or funded by charity donation from the public or from companies. And again, the companies supply the pilot, but we supply the medics that staff it. So depending on what area the country is or what's going on, the air medical desk, if they deem they have a remit or might have an asset that might be of use on the call, they will then take over the call and they will manage the call in its entirety. So once the call has been taken and it's identified that it needs an asset from the Air Corps or from the Coast Guard or from the RNLI, that desk will take over the control of the call. They will see it through right down to organising the ambulance, if need be, to meet the heli at the helipad to transport on into hospital.
Wow. And I tell you what, we're going to come back with a second episode with Will here. And I'm going to go around because I know Doug and Glenna may have a few more questions. And Will, I'm not letting you off this easy. When you connect from Ireland, you're going to come back and join us for a second episode real quickly, because I got a few more questions I want to talk about, especially with radio communications and everything else. So, Doug, if it's all right with you, why don't you tell everybody where you can reach us and tell us how we're going to come back for episode 2 with Will from Ireland.
We are everywhere. We're on all the podcasts. We're in all the heard all over the world, evidently.
Literally.
Literally. And it's like we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're all over the place. Please leave us a comment or question or whatever. If you want to be a guest like he is, then please jump on that. We'll be posting these. It's going to be 2 episodes. So one episode will come up probably 1 week, and then the other one will follow it probably right after that. So we got them kind of in order, so you can kind of see both these things, because I know I have a bunch of questions still to ask. I've been writing questions down. So it's going to be a great time to see him and ask more questions. And he's going to be so tired of his friends across the pond over here. So
I'm loving it already. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Will. And here's a cheers to you. And thanks for this one. I came over there, so I wanted to show you again. It's cheers. We'll see you in episode number 2.
Part 2.
Hey, it's Michelle, and you've been listening to another great episode of We Speak Dispatch, proudly sponsored by our friends at Zybex.
911 emergency, what are you reporting?